In this video, we will introduce the importance of standardization, one of the challenges of imaging studies, along with our company's experiences. Points of clinical trial success, standardization of imaging conditions. In recent years, imaging studies have become a trend in clinical trials, with the number of studies increasing significantly over the years. Our company, a specialist in imaging studies, has also experienced a sharp increase in the number of new studies, and we have been consulted by sponsors. In response to this trend, the US FDA released the Clinical Trial Imaging Endpoint Process Standards in 2018. This FDA guidance summarizes key points to consider when conducting imaging studies. These trends show clearly that imaging has become a key part of many clinical trials. Let me briefly introduce imaging studies. Imaging studies mainly refer to clinical trials that evaluate drugs quantitatively and qualitatively by using appropriate imaging modalities such as CT, MRI, and PET. Since the objective evaluation is also a great advantage, the evaluation results of imaging studies are often used for study endpoints. On the other hand, there are challenges that must be resolved in order to obtain highly accurate data. One typical example of a challenge is the variation in subject imaging itself. Even if the same subject is scanned, the exact same image cannot always be obtained. Due to differences in imaging methods and scanners, quality of obtained image data may differ. As a result, the evaluation results of a study will also vary, and in the end, it might be unclear whether the primary endpoint can be achieved. To prevent this, it is necessary to standardize the imaging conditions first. Various efforts are required to standardize imaging conditions, as described in the FDA guidance. For example, vendor-specific equipment characteristics and settings, imaging facility survey and qualification, training of imaging technologists, monitoring of imaging quality control. In this video, we will focus on the first item, vendor-specific equipment characteristics and settings. PET-CT is widely known as an imaging modality with a large variation in image quality. The quality of PET-CT images varies depending on the scanner itself, meaning the manufacturer or production date, and also the scanner settings. In other words, imaging environment and conditions differ depending on the site. For example, as shown on the slide, here are PET images of the same human body model, called a phantom, from different imaging sites A, B, C, and D. The black dots indicate the radioactivity uptake and represents a lesion or tumor. As you can see, for some scanners, the uptake delineation of the smallest dot, highlighted by the blue circles, is very blurred and difficult to recognize. If PET image quality is not standardized, these small delineations could vary at each site. This means that the assessment of an individual subject is not consistent across the sites and may significantly affect the accuracy of the study results. To prevent such issues as shown on the previous slide, a phantom test is conducted. In this test, a phantom, a human body model, is scanned and the PET image data is obtained. Then, the appropriate image settings and reconstruction conditions are determined for each scanner in accordance with the phantom test PET image data. Like the previous slide, these are images of a phantom from 4 sites. Before conducting the phantom test, the smallest sphere, a simulated tumor, is not visible in some of the images. By performing the phantom test and finding the appropriate PET-CT device settings, the smallest sphere can now be seen in all of the images, as shown on the right. Following this procedure, it is possible to obtain images of the same quality by each scanner, even from multiple sites. This can lead to an improvement in the accuracy of the study results. Now we'd like to show you our experiences from one Asian study. In this multinational study, 6 out of the 12 sites had inconsistent image quality and required a change in PET-CT imaging conditions for the study. This result suggests that if no phantom test had been conducted in this study, then the appropriate evaluation results might not have been obtained, even if a large number of subjects' imaging data were obtained. We can see it is very important to standardize the imaging among the sites before scanning the subjects. In order to submit highly accurate study results to the sponsor, Micron provides services which support the site's phantom test and determines the appropriate study-specific settings for each site's scanner. At first, the answers from an imaging condition survey will be collected from each site. Then, we will check the equipment for the phantom test and the process with each site. Finally, the phantom test will be conducted. After that, the images and data will be analyzed by Micron, and the settings of the site scanner will be determined. The phantom test itself needs to be conducted by the site, but our experienced specialists will also visit the site to support the site staff. There are also many other standardizations besides the PET phantom test. For example, a Hoffman phantom test is performed for an amyloid imaging study. With this phantom test, brain image standardization, such as the resolution, contrast, and uniformity, can be performed. Additionally, in some cases, standardization is needed for MRI imaging. These are proton density weighted images, which show the cartilage delineations in different bandwidths. It is a little hard to see in these images, but the cartilage delineation highlighted by the red circles is depicted thinly in some of the images. Since the image quality may differ depending on the imaging conditions, there was a risk that the evaluation may be affected. Therefore, our expert staff visited each site to determine the appropriate settings for each imaging scanner to enable imaging at optimal values, and conducted training to ensure compliance with these settings. In this video, we focused on the imaging conditions and introduced the importance of phantom tests, site training, site surveys, and our past experiences. Additionally, it is also important to create manuals to clearly define the imaging scanning procedures to ensure that they will be followed. We believe that this standardization of imaging conditions will give us accurate study results that lead to successful clinical trials. Micron has conducted more than 180 phantom tests at imaging sites in Japan and other countries. Based on our extensive experience, we have successfully performed phantom tests and have initiated sites with no delays. Furthermore, we also provide consulting services for standardization. Finally, our company has standardized PET-CT imaging across many countries in East Asia. Actually, Multilateral standardization in East Asia was first undertaken by our company. We published our valuable experience in the Japanese Radiological Journal and gave a presentation at the World Congress of Nuclear Medicine and Biology held in Australia. Thank you for watching this video. If you are interested in our company's standardization efforts, please feel free to contact us.